Stacy. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for the chamber and Stacy inviting me for this opportunity. And so my name is Gustavo Montoya, and I'm with AgTools. I'm the Chief Technology Officer, and with small businesses, we wear a lot of hats, but that's one of the ones that is the formal one. So before I get started, I want to ask everybody, how many of you guys are either in the ag industry working or somewhat connected? We all are in many ways, but raise your hands. Okay, great. That keeps me in topic, so thank you. So again, my name is Gustavo Montoya. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for AgTools. We are a company that provides real-time data for farmers and retail buyers in the food supply chain. What we do is we have amassed 81 million records of market data for 500 commodities in specialty crops. That is fruits, vegetables, ornamentals, herbs. And we have been able to put all this information available on a tablet, on a cell phone, or a desktop. Our value, or core value, lies in that we found key components that are gaps of communication between the grower, the farmer, and the corporate buyer. And in this food supply chain, we have information that feeds into those stakeholders. How do we do it? We take immense amounts of data and we pretty much simplify it into key factors that increase profitability, that increase making decisions that are going to increase those profits. So to give you an example, I had the opportunity to work in the ag industry with the strawberries, out of all places. Here in Wenatchee, we have apples, and strawberries was one of them. So I have flown to Mexico, where there is a lot of it coming from as imported, and also in California. So for a grower that is in California, during this time of the year, let's say Salinas and Watsonville, they actually produce quite a bit that goes out. So if my truck is filled with many cases, about $35,000, what it costs for an 18-wheeler of strawberries, I have a choice to make. Do I send my fruit at $24 a case to Los Angeles, or do I send it to New York for $34 a case? Well, this time of the year, with the climate as it is, I may put that $35,000 or $50,000 truck in risk. How do I make that decision? So we provide alerts, we provide information to all the stakeholders, not only the grower and the corporate buyer, but the trucks, the logistics, and everything that takes place. That's how we help those stakeholders in the food supply chain. That's pretty much it. That can give us an example of what AgTools is. It's a business model that is business to business. It's software as a service, so it's really a subscription model per commodity, per month, per year. That's pretty much it. Thank you for the question. Yes, so we came from many different areas. So most of the people are from the ag industry. They have been either brokers or representatives of growers. They have come from the corporate buying world, from tier one, such as Walmarts and Kroger's of the world. And we have come together to find these inefficiencies of communication. I came from the technology side. And so at the beginning, or the genesis of it, was that many of these brokers were contacting corporate buyers, and they were making calls to sell some of these trucks loads of fruits and vegetables, strawberries specifically. So what happened was that as an added value, we were sending reports to these corporate buyers on forecasts of the weather, prices that were probably, compared to last year, were important, and so that they could make decisions for that week. And that was the genesis. It was a package that was copy, paste, put it all together, send it on an email to these corporate buyers. Well, that is fully automated in this system today. And that's how all of that team from many different angles came together to put this together. And that was 2 years ago. So, yeah.
That was going to be my ask.
So yeah, we started 2 years ago. We had a minimum viable product in 2017 and 18, and in October of last year, we released the final version that is today an actual product. I think that the biggest challenge that we have is the complexity of our service. It takes us 5 to 10 minutes to let some of these stakeholders in the food supply chain show them the opportunity. And by that time, 5 minutes may be too long. So you have to do that 11-second pitch, and we may lose them. So only until you get that, oh, wow, this data is here, then is when you get that wow moment. Okay, well, this is good. How did you get all these tons and tons of information available on a cell phone or available on a web? And that's when it engages. But it takes time, and that's the complexity. So we made sure that our infrastructure can scale to 10,000 users. We made sure everything is good. But the challenge that we have found, I'm going to, for instance, the PMA, which is the Product Marketing Association, which is one of the biggest. We found that when we're engaging with the stakeholders in the food supply chain, it takes that long. So we have reached out to some of these venues where some of these potential customers are, but we have found this difficulty of explaining, and then, wow, okay, now I get it. The second thing that has been a challenge is that they see us as a technology company, and a big wow for us is that all of us are in the industry. So they go, oh, so you are part of the industry. I can talk to you because you understand who you are, but it takes time. So one of the roadblocks is that maybe overheated investment in the ag industry, that they may be kind of a block. We don't want to talk to you. You guys are trying to change our things, and we have been growers for a long time. We know what we're doing, kind of a challenge. Good question. So we have our infrastructure here for all of the technology side. We have folks in California, so not all of it is here. I have a couple of engineers that work with me that are one in Cheney and Chelan. And so not all of us are here in the Wenatchee area. Okay, so identify the issue that may be a problem before I can engage with presenting it, okay? That's a very good point. I think we have not done a good, well, actually, no, not about the team. We talk about who we are, but not the entire set of teams. I think that since we're trying to reach out to the investors, we're keeping that team on those presentations, but I think we could do that. So I don't think we have that really well spelled out there on the website. So you wouldn't.
What's your website?
Pardon me?
What is the website?
It's ag.tools. So ag.tools. So getting more of a firm engagement of what are your challenges. That's how we kind of came out with the idea. Because again, there was so many key components in the food supply chain that the growers do not talk to the corporate buyers. Even the holidays, for instance. People don't pay attention to the holidays. So if I'm importing strawberries from Mexico and there's a holiday in Mexico, they don't know those things. And this is exactly what I mean when I bring this up. Is oh, yes, these are folks that have been doing this for 25 years. So it's really interesting that only until you put all together, they go, okay. But I appreciate your input on trying to identify those challenges when presenting. So, and most people don't really want to know, or somebody telling them, do you have any problems? It's hard to really engage people in that level. So, I guess one of the things that I'm looking for is from somebody that is coming from a completely different industry is identify how do we engage that social connection to bring those barriers down.
Use the word challenge, not problem.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems, I'm fine.
That's right. So, working with a gentleman that has helped us with the marketing, what we've done is create this type of cue cards that we actually give or at events. Let me see if I can get one. So I'll pass it on along so you guys can see them. And there's different ones that we are addressing to touch everybody that is in the food supply chain.
Well, that's good. That's a good tagline.
And so looking for that tagline, there it is. There's some in Spanish because we know that is really key for us. Connect to the supply chain, gathering and structuring, organizing, analytics, summarize, and deliver. But there's many aspects, as lady here pointed out. Talk to everybody in the food supply chain. We almost want to narrow it first to see if we can get the growth on some of those customers. We have 515 commodities. Just think of that. There is 350 million growers in the United States. There is 500 million farms globally. So our market addressability is huge, and many of the companies that are out there want to import into the US. We're finding by accident in many ways that importers and exporters within other countries are more interested on AgTools now because we're providing terminal pricing, shipping pricing, volume production for each one of these commodities in a single place. And so we've done this part to kind of address those topics and to address those tools. And we chose tools because we wanted the grower as the first customer for this to identify themselves with it.
Okay.
That was the reason why for the AgTools. So it's interesting to see that you're not in it, but you picked it up that way. Yeah.
So you were saying you can't say anything briefly, but this card says it, so just rehearse that and say it, right?
Which one of all the?
Farmers, shippers, buyers, bing, bang, boom. Like, there you go. Okay, so this is your elevator speech.
Yes, this is one. Yeah.
There it is, boom.
This is one. So, and this is all on the website. All of it. All of these came from the website. Yeah, no, not on the fridge.
First main page needs to be.
Okay.
Like, boom. Okay, now I see. I don't know.
Okay.
Surf through.
This is a good point. We have. There is no product like ours at the time because specialty products or produce is very perishable. So strawberries, they go into the clamshell, they get shipped. Decisions have to be made quick. It's like cherries for us here. It has to be very fast. Grains, beans, and that type of commodity, there's hedge funds that actually do all kinds of analytics ahead of. So because of the nature of the specialty crop, then there's some things that we can use on that, but it's very, like for instance, cherries and apples are very opposite, like strawberries. We can put them on the storage and that pricing is going to be very stable. What changes is production and activity. So we have used, for some commodities, some of those tools and apply to those. Yeah. Yes, so I'll address it with two answers. The question is, we're still raising 1 million to the beginning of that. We have raised so far, I think, with in-kind awards, IBM infrastructure, using Watson, using some of the features of machine learning and some of those things, probably about 200,000 in-kind. The phase for us to be able to where we are, because you mentioned it, wow, you guys kind of got it all together. Well, I'd like to make an analogy of the movie Spare Parts. We have really very good people that had helped us put it together so quickly that there's a wow moment to, wow, you have all this data already? And the challenge now is to get the word for people to really use it. The challenge is for a corporate buyer that takes about maybe 6 weeks to make an analysis of planning a purchase, to really see that they can do it in 2 or 3 minutes with our tool, because we're grabbing all the information for them and putting it in context. So there's still many more things to do. There's many things that we can grow into finding the challenges that they're having and resolving those and adjusting quickly. And we managed to keep that kind of going for our team, that we are able to make agile changes on the software side very quickly to adapt. Like I said, kilograms is used all over the world, not pounds. And so now our tool has a little button that changes all of our data that is in pounds now to be So it's very useful. So these things are constantly in the go if we're making the changes. Okay, this is a great question. Again, so we're so big and into the opportunity, both. So we can serve the grower, we can serve the stem mills that are representing the growers. There's corporate salespeople that want to make an analysis. Where am I going to move this fruit? What was it last year? What was the sale price last year? What's the weather like that is going to affect some of the regions where I'm going to be shipping? So do I need to ship to Europe now? And then Walmart corporate buyers are also. So we're looking at the licensing packages for corporate buyers as well individual type of licenses for the smallest grower that there is. So both are, to answer the question. And I run into folks at a California event where they said, is your tool, would it allow me to download the data so I can put it on my Excel sheets? It's like, we're trying to save you the time so you don't have to do that. So we're working with folks that have been in the trenches for a long time, and their behavioral use of those analytics. So, for the estimates of the world and some of the folks that we have here, I have found some blockage there that says, we know how to do this. And so they're not yet to get to that opportunity. Let me try this because maybe I don't have to spend 2 weeks downloading things, putting it on Excel, I don't know, contracting Tableau, which is an expensive software, and sometimes it may work or not. We actually have contextual information right there for them to see it. So to your question, yes. We had just started. So we don't yet. So far the successes that I can speak to is some of the folks went to Germany to one of the biggest or bigger agricultural opportunities out there for a conference. And again, we found that there was much more interest on them because there are a lot of growers from Latin America that are trying to export to the US. So for them to see this information readily available is real time. Typically in the ag industry, it takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks to see people information updated. We are 81 million records, and we're updating about 60,000 records every day. So to have that information for them readily available, it's surprising. And so I think to your question is, how do we make sure that they engage faster to see the opportunity in front of them? How do they get to really try it without having to lose the interest if they haven't seen the solution to the challenge? Yeah, so since we don't have that many yet, we have at least 25 that have already registered, but this just happened in the last 2 months. So there's not enough data to go back, but you're right to that point. I think that we should be able to get some information and right away bring that as a testimony in front of them. And we have to be persistent with it, again, because once they find it, they start playing with it. We have our system capturing every activity so that we can see how much of which areas of the tool is mostly visited, so we can continue to improve that. Yeah, this is a great question. We try to keep it really simple. We have 4 packages, and that includes a trial version. We change it from 30 days to 15 days. What we have found is, and I lived it because I was in the industry very closely, the day of a farmer or the day of the corporate buyer starts about 4 o'clock in the morning. And by 11 o'clock, they're done. So it's really hard to find them or find a time that is for them to experiment new things. It's really difficult. So we have found, to your point, we've done that, and it's still, even though it's free, it's still there. They don't engage because they're so much into the day-to-day operation. It's really hard. So we're going to the ag shows to be in places where we know they're in a much more relaxed environment. They're actually in the willing position to listen, and even then, you see that still a little bit of the blockage of, I know how to do this. And we're not replacing. That's one of the other things that we really have been careful not to say. We're not replacing any decision making. We are only enhancing the information so that you can make a more improved decision and more profitable decision. I think relationships are always great because I think that's where you can do the networking and then somebody try it and identify an opportunity like you mentioned earlier. Ask them, what is your pain points on a daily basis? So I think with this setup, this framework can do is help us engage with our local industry. We have cherries, berries, apples, all the different fruit here opportunity. So engaging in that area, I like to see more of how we can, work together with folks here, maybe, or engage with where are the growers? Where are they coming here to the Chamber of Commerce, or are they going to some other locations? So where are they so we can actually engage them?
All right.
Thank you.